Hello, everybody out there. This is Carsten speaking from LuraTech. Welcome to our webinar of today. We are going to talk about the LuraTech Rendition Server. We think it's an ace, it's your ace in the hole for central document conversion in enterprise environments. And what that all means is our today's subject. People are still dialing in. Some are notoriously a couple minutes late, but while people are still dialing in, for those who are already here, let's have a look at the agenda as we plan it for today. First, as also announced in our advertisement for the webinar, we are going to talk a little bit about the advantages of central document conversion, touching basically also what LuraTech Rendition Server is all about, what it is, what you can assume to have looking at a LuraTech Rendition Server. We summarize that kind of with a demonstration with me. Oh, I didn't introduce myself properly. I'm sorry. Carsten Heiermann. I'm Managing Director of LuraTech. I am also your go-to point, if you like, for the rendition server. And with me here today is Gert. Gert, introduce yourself. Sorry.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gert Michaels. I'm the LuraTech product manager, and I'm involved in the development of the LuraTech Rendition Server as well as other LuraTech products.
Yes, thanks, Gert. And Gert is going to take the part 2 here, the demonstration, showing us a couple of sample use cases for what you could do with LuraTech Rendition Server. I'm not saying what LuraTech Rendition Server looks like because it doesn't have a lot of a visual appearance, but you get some impression on what you could use it for. Part 3, then, I'm going to take it over again, and from a PowerPoint slide set level, I'm going to introduce more of the technology, architecture, talk about how you can expand the usage or the technology inside the rendition server, and give you a little bit of a background on that. And again, that will be summarized by a demonstration by Gert, looking behind the scenes of running a LuraTech Rendition Server and how that would look like. Last but not least, we're going to talk about what's in the box when you buy it. We talk about how it scales. We give you a little bit of an impression on how commercially the license model is built, and so on. As always, it's most fun on these sessions and webinar when it gets a little interactive. Little interactive means post your questions. There's a question section in your GoToWebinar control panel. Just type in your questions as you have them. I'm going to try to pick them up. The German language session this morning turned out to be pretty interactive, trying to pick up the questions in line when we're still in context. I'm going to touch on all the questions, at least in the end of the presentation, once they are there. So feel free, just type them in. Every question is worth asking. Trying to stay in 45 minutes for your schedule. I can also tell you that in many cases we didn't succeed with that plan, but we tried to limit it to 45 minutes. In order to get there, and as people have dialed in now in the majority of the registered participants, let's go. Let's go and start this with a little bit of a background. A new term seems to establish itself called enterprise rendition. Something that we use as a term, but also other companies and customers use as a term. And what does that mean, enterprise rendition? It's enterprise-wide rendering of documents, let's say. And enterprise-wide means documents coming in from all different kind of sources in an enterprise environment. Then there is a central instance doing rendition into specific formats, let's say specific views of data, specific formats of documents in a central rendering, basically, in a central location. The main purpose for doing that is with enterprise rendition in many cases, and also with the LuraTech Rendition Server. The main purpose is to convert, create, edit, validate, whatever PDFs as a resulting format out of these conversion processes. But it could also be any other format, rendering to Microsoft Word format. Why not? Could do when you have a use case for that. The majority of our use case is PDF centric, though, in the result files. The main sources, let's say, where documents come from in this enterprise rendition scenario is all the IT subsystems. All the IT subsystems across the whole company installations could use enterprise rendition and rendition server in order to fulfill their needs of document conversion in one central place. And why would you do that? Why would you care for having a single central infrastructure to render, let's say, your PDF documents? Because on the other hand, today, all enterprises across the world render PDFs a lot. They create PDFs a lot. And it seems to work. It seems to work, I'm saying, because today's way of doing things is there is this ERP system, and the ERP system has a PDF printer, let's say, attached. And then when you want to create some invoices, you print it through this virtual printer, and you get a PDF file out of that. Okay, that's a viable solution. Why not? But the problem is the next system has another piece of software attached with another set of settings, with another level of quality and fidelity in the documents. And the next tool probably has a save as PDF mode because it's on the desktop. And you probably don't really know what kind of settings your users are using to create those PDF documents. It's out of control in a way. It's in the scope of what the user does. It's in the scope of what a user who potentially doesn't have to know, and doesn't care about what PDF format should I use, how should I build my PDF. It's in the scope of this guy who can't really actually do it in the correct way. So one, you want to make sure that every PDF you're going to create, to send it out, to put it in your archive, to publish it on the web, to send it to your customers or clients or whatever, that every PDF has the same kind of high quality built in, meaning no errors, nicely structured, nicely built, usable, readable on every system, and basically syntactically correct. It's probably very hard to ensure that and guarantee that when you have this distributed situation of all kinds of different PDF tools and engines that you're using in your company as of today that you probably don't even know about. As an IT person, that's a little bit of a nightmare. And PDF tools and PDF software pieces are many out there in the market. It's based on research in a viewer software. We can today safely assume that there's more than 10,000 different software products creating PDF files. And not all of them really have a good quality in their resulting PDF files. And you probably want to really create documents that are usable across all platforms and that are usable in years from now, and so on and so forth. Another problem that you have with today's PDF landscape is you can't enforce specific policies. PDFs are created somewhere, everywhere, you don't know where, and all of a sudden, let's assume a scenario. The company decides to say, oh, for long-term archiving or for compliance purposes or whatever reason, we are going to do, or for reasons that you need to publish your documents in a specific format to a regulatory committee or something like that, we're going to create our PDFs from now on in this and this and this format. Might it be ISO PDFA? Might it be some specific profile that you need? Or might it only be on the content base that you want to enforce a certain set of CI, look and feel of a document or something like that? Now go out as an IT person and implement that in a scenario where you have all these different kind of tools in your company that you probably don't know about that. Now go out and enforce that the users on their desktops do the right thing. It's almost impossible to do it that way. And with a central instance, enterprise rendition principle, with an enterprise rendition server, let's say, you can, of course, control all these conversion policies, all these conversion jobs, all these conversion procedures and different workflows in a central location where it is safely stored on a server, and users, being any kind of software in your company, really just uses the conversion service that you have completely under control. Only way to enforce document policies across all systems. Another scenario, obviously, is audit trails, compliance aspects, and documentation. Who did what, when, with which document is something you probably need to tell at one point when it comes to, I don't know what, e-discovery or some other scenarios. And again, very difficult to collect that from log files potentially sitting on user desktops or different formats on different servers and stuff like that. So again, a central instance for that might be something worth looking at. Take control of your document process from the IT perspective is basically the approach to looking into enterprise rendition and taking a look at an enterprise at a rendition server like we have it at LuraTech. Now, what is LuraTech's rendition server all about? What does it do? What is it in its appearance? Basically, it's a web service. Simple as that. You have an interface, and this interface is a web service that you can call from any kind of IT subsystem, from any kind of programming language. You can call a web service, send it a source, ask it for converting this source with a specific recipe, let's say, into a resulting file, and the web service sends the resulting file back through the web service. Easiest use case. We have other use cases, but the easiest use case. This way, you can implement a button in your Office products, invoking conversion sitting on a server in a controlled environment. You can, of course, do batch conversions. You can, of course, connect this to server-side product for mass output of, say, invoices or whatever it is. And that way, you can integrate it seamlessly and easily across your whole IT landscape. So what is LuraTech Rendition Server? Simple as that. It's a web service providing conversion services. Behind this web service, the product itself is a whole infrastructure, let's say. It's an infrastructure for document conversion tasks. We build it to be data center compliant with modern data center architectures. So virtualized environments, elastic infrastructure, starting up instances, building, tearing down instances per the need that you have in a dynamic way, monitoring, controlling it through modern data center software. That's all completely built in the product. And also, that's the innovation of this product. We didn't invent any new way of doing something with PDF. What we innovated about here with this product is the way of putting PDF creation, conversion, validation, whatever kind of tasks into a server environment in a highly scalable form, for example. We built an architecture that is highly scalable, can add dynamically additional servers without stopping the process. Just as the need, it can also remove servers from the process and free them up for other tasks when you don't have that high of a load. It supports dynamic load balancing in many instances, and it is very capable with this kind of breathing elastic infrastructure to handle peak loads when all of a sudden a department decides to push a whole lot of work and document conversion tasks at the servers that they never tell those who run a server like that before about. We're able to handle those peak loads. It's a very reliable infrastructure, let's say, per its architecture. There's no single point of failure in this product. All components can be run in a redundant way so that there's always automatic failover. There's always hot standby in the backup in every instance and every component of the architecture of a rendition server. We're going to take a look at the architecture a little later in this presentation. It's expandable. Again, there's many PDF compressor users, amongst the people listening to this webinar today. You guys know that PDF compressor does a tremendous job when it comes to document conversion tasks on a server as well, but it does it in a different way. It has a fixed in-build workflow that you can give certain parameters, and then it does the job, defined input, defined output. The rendition server is different because the workflow can be completely configured by you yourself. You can put the different modules, let's say, next to each other, and therefore build the way you process this specific task in something like a little workflow. You can even there's many modules for building those workflows, building blocks in the box already. You basically all know what LuraTech has as PDF-based technology, including what Foxit has as PDF-based technology, and this is all already in the box. But when you have something specific, I don't know, your private format X, whatever, and you already have a little bit something like a command line tool or something to convert X to PDF or something like that, there's an API to integrate things like that into rendition server workflows and deploy it, let's say, run it in a highly scalable, highly reliable server-side environment automatically without a lot of work on that end. Sounds all very complex, and it is a complex piece of software. Nothing to say against that, but on the other hand, we also made sure that it is still easy to administrate, easy to run in the daily business. We do have a web management console. That is something that Gerd is going to show us in a later presentation, in the second part of the presentation, where you can run, control, monitor what's going on with your rendition server and set it up and stuff like that. We also do have an interface to standard management software. What's that? I told you in the very beginning, we are the infrastructure or the architecture of the rendition server is ready to go into a new modern data center architecture. And those new modern data center architecture has already standard management software. Might it from Microsoft, might it Cacti or Nagios or something else. It's already there, and you probably do not want to have another web management console, but you probably want to manage a rendition server type product as well in your standard management software. Hey, yeah, it's ready. We can do that. It's built into the product. Okay, that's a little bit about what we have and what it is good for. Now, again, taking a look at use cases, summarize a little bit, convert, create, edit, whatever, documents from A to B, from format A to format B, mostly with the target to create PDFs. Where do they come from? I said it already in a summary. All IT subsystems can invoke that. Is it the ERP, the SAP, whatever? But it can be specific application. It can be custom application, desktop, server, mobile even can call it. And the interfaces, or let's say connection points. Hey, we are a web service, so we can talk to, or to us can talk that way around, client applications on the desktop or something like that, server applications, backend systems without a visual interface, even cloud-based systems, obviously mobiles, devices can talk to us. We're a web service. Everybody can use the document conversion service and make sure to get the same high level of PDF quality, compatible PDF files to defined corporate profiles, out of the rendition server for all these different IT subsystems. That's basically what I want to say. And I am now looking forward to get a little bit of an impression on how it could look like of Gerd. Gerd, are you ready to show us something?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, Carsten, thank you for this introduction. I'm going to show you something. Thanks for sharing the display. First question is, of course, a web service. How do you show a web service? How do you demonstrate this? We had the same issue, and we thought about a little demonstrator tool. So what we are seeing here is a little GUI application which helps us to test specific cases. In the background, it uses the LuraTech Rendition Server through its web service. So we're just going to use this for showing what we can do with it. The first thing I'm going to show is most people who have experience with our other LuraTech products know we are very good in creating text searchable PDF files from for example, for scanned documents. So I have a batch of more or less it looks like scanned pages from one United Nations journal. I have these like separate pages in high quality, 300 dpi in color, in a very a rather high JPEG quality. So I select a specific mode for the rendition server. It's called a strategy. You could also call it a profile, but we opted to choose for strategy because of the might mess up with other uses of the word profile. So in this case, we select a strategy called raster with OCR because we have here rastered images and we want to create searchable PDF files, so we need to select OCR as well. The list we see here are the list of all strategies which are currently available on this this system here. You can add or modify these strategies centrally by an administrator, but the end user cannot modify these strategies. So I select raster with OCR. And now I can say, okay, I would like to have every page single or one document. In this case, I just say combine. So this will create all pages in one document. So we see at a change of color that all these pages are uploaded to the rendition server. And if I switch, for example, to a task manager, I can see that my system is now under high stress for creating the PDF file, applying our MRC compression to it for making highly compressed image files, and also adding the OCR layer to it. So it's already done. I can see this as well in our demonstrator tool. I have now a PDF file which is 2% the size of all previous pages combined. So there's expected compression. It looks, one please, a bit. Let's zoom a bit out for a better impression. And we see on the text view from the Foxit viewer, the text is also available in this document. So I made text searchable document, text searchable PDF from this image file, scanned image file. That's the first scenario. The second part is where I want to go through, one digital files. We call them is our mixture of Office files, emails, Word documents, whatever you can have in a general Office environment. This is a demonstration for the author mode, so it's also possible to have the rendition server define which the best strategy to use for the file, depending on the file extension. I can use do convert as well. Of course, I won't do any combine here because these are all documents at their own leisure, at their own definition. Again, for example, if I pick an English one, just wait a little. For example, here we see the an email file sent from marketing. We might have received it as well, and is just as we expect a nice PDF rendition of this email. As an example of LuraTech competence in converting Office file formats to searchable PDFs and even PDF-A, as you can see here, PDF-A compliance. So the one third part is something more in going to creating documents. I just take this as an example, converting text to PDF. What we have here is general text files. You know them from older systems like spool files or giant listings. We still have encountered the requirement that these files need to be converted into PDF and to be able to must be made archivable. So converting them to PDF-A is very is a common requirement. I have a special strategy prepared for converting this type of file into PDF. Can do this as well, convert, and As we see, we have a PDF file, which the strategy was configured to make this a landscape orientation of the pages, and all columns are as we would have expected in this type of format. And except, yeah, the document is a PDF file, perfect for storing large spoolings or outputs of any system which has this requirement. The other part is another example is using yes, it's the same strategy for RFCs. You know, RFCs are also available, a request for comments, in a text file with page breaks. Again, our conversion is respecting the page breaks and make, oh, sorry, this landscape mode. I had to switch it to portrait, but we see that page breaks are respected if they would have fit on the page. Okay, that's for the part of demonstrator, which shows the, yeah, more or less from web service part of view. We also have the web service is allows us to bring PDF conversion also to desktop applications. And there we have another example here is I switch to a VM now. For example, a very common use case is people working with Office documents and needing to send out an email to a potential customer with a quote, for example, and maybe the quote has been produced in an Excel sheet, but you don't want to provide the potential customer with all your logics in Excel sheet. So the ideal way would be to offer a PDF file. In this case, I create a new email. I can attach files, for example. Say I have here my quote and terms and conditions. I can insert them, and using this little add in Outlook, this is demo add-in. I could say, okay, yes, want to convert them. These will be converted by the rendition server. So this communication goes from the desktop environment from from an employee to the central rendition server and back. So this brings the central PDF conversion directly into the desktop environment where normal caseworkers work. I still can check whether it's good or not. Yes, it's exactly as I expect it to be. And then the people can decide on whether or not to send the email or to accept them. Moments. Close. I say yes. Okay. Some other window open. Okay, that would be included. Sorry, I had an. Okay. The other example I want to show is also a common part of people working on a computer and still have the requirement to convert files on an ad hoc basis. So they don't want to have any application, don't want to start application, but just say, okay, this is an interesting file. I want to convert it, and even context menu can bring the central rendition server power and flexibility to Windows Explorer, for example. I could convert this file. This is just a demoware, just opening the window. And I would find this PDF at a local place. So again, this is showing how you can use a central rendition server and use one instance for all your PDF needs in your company. So, okay, Carsten, that's it with the examples.
Okay, thanks, Gerhard. Very, very quick, giving you an idea of what it is about. Let me take the screen back. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the question. Yeah, looking at the questions. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure, but this question was potentially answered. Yes, we can create documents as well. We can convert documents. So Gerd just showed the text to PDF conversion with page breaks and stuff like that. That's a little bit of composing a document out of not that nicely formatted data, but there's also ways to enforce CI documents using templates and then render certain content on it. For example, to have a letterhead and then render the document on it for output management purposes as well. Yes, it's on the list here. When you take, I hope my screen is visible again. Garrett, can you confirm?
Yes, Carsten, it's perfectly visible. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, again, the use cases are all IT subsystems, and we don't. The web service doesn't really care at all. If you set up a strategy that does the job can be invoked, let's say, from a mailroom input management system for searchable high compressed PDFs or something. It can be called from system in your company that creates output documents, CI output documents, and it can be called from any other system. Once you set up a strategy, once you have the conversion task ready, the modules ready for that, and there's a lot of modules in the box. We are going to show a list of file formats and others in the end. Yes, then it can be very much used for all of these use cases. Okay, another question came in regarding what programming languages are required, and please go on, ask questions. I encourage you. One answer I have here, again, it is a web service, SOAP architecture. We're going to go into the technology and architecture part now anyway. So what programming language can it be called from? What programming language is needed to create a client application or connect a server application to us? We don't even care. The programming languages out there in the market, we don't even know probably. The programming languages out there in the market, the architectures, they all have their purpose to call a web service. So even script languages today can call a web service. That way they can start a conversion process on the LuraTech Rendition Server. It's universally callable from any device, basically, from any programming language, from any operating system. The web service we offer is self-describing for those who know what that means. So it is relatively easy or very easy to implement a call for it. And another concept that I want to introduce here is it's a minor detail, but it is very important and is a proof point for that. We took a look at high throughput, took a look at no overhead, fast conversions. Gert showed the example of the desktop software, and the desktop software shows or has the file in it, and then you call the web service, and the file that needs to be converted will be transported through the web service to the server, will be converted, and the resulting PDF file will go back through the web service to the calling application. For sure, it has to be that way. No other way possible. But when a server side, let's say an ERP system, generates 10 million invoices at the end of the month, it would make no sense to send files or something like that through the web service for anytime you call it, when the file system is potentially sitting next to the rendition server on the same server data center, we can, of course, then also use references to files and read the files from those file shares. So in any case, in any scenario, it's fast, highly scalable, and fast in conversion. Architecture of the product, let me introduce that a little bit. I have, on the very top of it, you see desktop applications, web apps, and mobile apps up here. And this is what Gert basically showed. There's no visual appearance for a web service. The web service basically is symbolized in this here as this blue arrow, or this blue arrow, where subsystems, desktop side, mobile side, or whatever, or subsystems on the server, ERP systems, application servers, whatever, web servers, are calling the web service and talking to the rendition server. So how does it look in your environment? Depending on your applications that actually make use of the conversion service. The rendition server itself is in this red box. It has a managing node. The managing node is putting into a log any request coming in the moment it comes in. It puts in a log what is in there. It prepares it, and then it sends the tasks to the actual conversions based on priorities and other priorities in some dimensions to the worker nodes. The worker nodes are the workhorses. Those can be servers that can be dynamically started, that can be dynamically shut down, depending on, and they can be attached to the process without stopping the process, will be immediately available. The managing node has more horsepower when it needs it with additional servers in here. So these are the workhorses, and this is the managing instance. The managing instance is not single instance as it is shown here. Also, the managing node can be set up in a parallel way for load balancing purposes or for simple failover or redundancy purposes as well. We do need a database. We do need for all the logging and protocoling. We want to make sure that a complete audit trail information is available that you can report upon in a later step for every single page in every document that was ever converted with the rendition server. But we also store our job information and the status and all this kind of stuff in a database system. This little arrow over here, the operations and maintenance, O&M, operations and maintenance web service, is a second web service. This second web service is doing all the configuration, monitoring, protocoling, managing of the running rendition server instance. It also drives our own LuraTech management console or a web app. For running these, this is a technical part of the presentation, so let me talk about that. For running these, you need an IIS for running the web app, but for running the rendition server, you don't need. We do everything. We host the web service on our own, let's basically say. Okay, that's the high-level view on things. Let's zoom in a little bit into the architecture, looking at that in more depth. So how actually does it work, and how can you configure it, and how can you influence it? You're calling applications. You understand now it can be anything. Sends a request to the managing node through the conversion web service. The managing node has a first way of customizing. It has an API called the Custom Work Item Handler API. And there you can attach your own logic if you want or need, and it comes in handy for many purposes. Can attach your own logic that says when a request like that comes in, break it apart in this and this way, or when it is this, do that, when it is that, do something else. So it's a preparation step. And from the custom work item handler, the managing node together with the custom work item handlers if needed, the managing node generates so-called work items. One request can be broken down in one or many work items that the managing node will send out for processing then to its farm of worker nodes out there. On those worker nodes, the real job is done, let's say. And we symbolize that in this graphic here a little bit by saying, I'm sorry, this is constantly doing this for me, by saying the modules I was talking about, I don't know what, an OCR, a compression, a conversion, a document composing step, or something like that. Those are so-called stations or modules on the worker nodes, and you can put them in a row in a meaningful way for your specific need and purpose, and that's what we call an assembly line. That's a line of doing things in a specific way. And when you give that a certain set of parameters, you end up having one of these strategies that Gerrit selected in our demonstrator tool that are configured and controlled and run on the server system, always in the same way, creating always the same level of output that you want, but then actually can be selected on the client and say, convert this file in version this for me, send it over here, it will be done and will be given back in the exact way of how it needs to be done in this specific setup. Here's another green little thing down there, and that's called a custom station. And I told it before, when all these out-of-the-box modules are still not doing the trick, you have your own private little format or whatever it is that you want to, or you have a great tool actually to create a certain, I don't know, CAT file to PDF conversion or something like that, that is very specific, doing something very specific. Might be a command line tool or something like that. You can call it through the custom station API, connected to our assembly lines, and run a simple thing like a command line tool automatically in a highly manageable, in a highly managed, in a highly scalable, very reliable server-side infrastructure, including everything like documentation of the conversions and all these kind of stuff. So this is a little bit of looking a little deeper into what the rendition server and how the rendition server does things, how configurable it is. Technology part, we are having certain requirements towards the operating system. This thing is running on Windows, and it is, many PDF compressor users again here, it's not running on Windows desktop operating systems anymore. You might see that being data center compliant or data center ready, we need Windows Server environments. Another question came up, and here's the place to answer it, about which databases are supported. We test it on a regular basis, and we certify it for Microsoft's database. But any database that is supported by the so-called Microsoft Entity Framework, that's a new thing of talking to a database in Microsoft.NET, is supported as well, is running as well, will be working. And that is every standard, every known database that can be used. If you have a specific one to use, we'll make it happen. Another view on things is now we took a look at this from a business standpoint. Why would it make sense to use a rendition server? Main purpose, well, main reasons are compliance questions. Main reasons are corporate policies, enforcement. Main reasons are getting rid of the distributed way of creating PDF files and thus making sure you control. Another reason could be bundle all your licensing in one, make it cheaper, whatever, for the throughput that you have. That's more from the business side. The user, from a user side, is he gets it right with his PDF files in the first place without having to know anything about that. Just push this button. The server-side infrastructure will do the right thing for me. I don't have to care, which is the user side. But there's a third side, and that's the IT guys. Again, the IT guys running the data center, the IT guys running the applications in the data center also have a view on things. How do you configure a rendition server instance? You have the LuraTech Management Web Console, the web app, helping you with that, and there's the operations and maintenance web service, making it possible to connect to your central or to your standard data center monitoring software. And there will be a little bit of XML file configuration to be done as well in order to set up and configure a rendition server instance. From an operational standpoint, we made sure that we are very robust against anything. For example, we have lots of experience with that from PDF Compressor, but we took it to another level with rendition server. Network goes down, network segment goes down, a single server goes down, or something like that. We are really dealing with unreliable environments. It might be that you use Elastic Cloud with rendition server, so a couple of servers instances are running in your own data center. When the workload goes up very high, a couple of other worker nodes might be running in, I don't know, Amazon environment, Amazon Elastic Cloud or something like that. Network goes down, we keep going on. We keep going on and see and wait when the server comes back. We reattach it automatically to the process and do the best out of what we can get. It's very robust against dealing with corrupted files. Corrupt files are happening all day. Copy errors is one thing, but there's also a whole bunch of other files being in this or that way corrupt. Historically speaking, it used to be bad TIFF or something like that. It can be Word files with difficulties. And of course, there might be a situation where we can't convert something, but we can never stop doing things because we are the central instance to create PDF and we have to go on. It does ensure that we are going on by self-monitoring, by process monitoring. We do have the live dashboard to at any time know what's going on, and you can use your Cacti, Nagios, or Microsoft systems to take a look at that. Performance logs is in a central place for the IT administrators, but also the questions an IT administrator might get in terms of logs, like who did what when with this specific file in an e-discovery case or something like that, it can be answered because it's now all done in a central place and no longer in these distributed log files running around potentially on user desktops or somewhere else. And another very important part of that from the IT department point of view is normally IT departments don't pay for this kind of infrastructures, but the business has to pay for it. The business will be charged for it at least. So when there's a cost center situation in your company and they all use central PDF rendition with a rendition server, you have to make sure that you also get the accounting data so that you can charge what is used to department A versus department B. And this is also built into the rendition server for making life easier of our system administrators. And the web app actually to manage the rendition server is something that is visual in the end, and therefore we want to make sure use the time we still have to have Gert show us how it looks like. Real quick demonstration. Okay, switching back the screen to Gert.
Thank you, Carsten. So can you see my screen already?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're in our operation and maintenance web application. First and for all, everything you're going to see in this app here is accessed through our operation and maintenance web service. So you're perfectly fine, capable in creating your own web application for managing this or in sourcing all the data that you see here. So we have no private API or so, whatever. We just have this API which uses a public operation and maintenance web service. So again, home is the main page of this application, where we see currently here all our nodes which are running. We have a managing node in one associated worker node at Rory. Rory is the name of my computer. We see currently no requests in the queue. It's online, memory. We see at the end also that we have buttons for putting them in maintenance mode or switching them back to active mode, which means that I can take out managing nodes or worker nodes, can take them out of the rendition server array. For example, make an update on the server or patch some software and then bring it on into the rendition server array without any interruption of overall availability. So this is designed to be used in enterprise environments where we cannot have any timeout on the specific servers. So I'm going to create some stress on the system. You notice for you going to convert. So going back to the web app, we can see that we will see at some point that requests are going up. Do we see them? Okay, we see the different requests. We're going to the work items and being back to the client. But to make it more visible, we have also this graphical view on this app, which takes on the data from the system CPU and from our processors. So you have the system information, which is in the brown line, and all our rendition server processes have added and they're shown in the blue line. So if I do this again, which I did before, I just create some stress, put some stress on the system. We see again that there's some delay on the visualization, but then brings on the peaks on the display. Okay, so that was on the as an addition on the home bar. The second tab you open is configuration. It's available in English as well, but that's to do with my browser, which is currently set to German. But this, don't mind, this is a completely bilingual application for the time being, and other languages can be added very easily. It's been set up from the beginning for internationalization and for localization. So the second one, configuration, is where I can do all the configuration settings for the rendition server. It's nicely designed. I can save them. All these settings that I make here are stored in are versioned. The third tab is about the strategies. You remember from the demonstrator I showed you the other session. Here are all the strategies configured. I can view them. I can edit them. I can add. I can modify, for example, some properties. The settings here, for example, for the OCR language, are configured currently for English, German, and French, just to speed up the conversion, because I only, in this case, I expect these languages. I could have used any other language as well. We have settings regarding PDF, conformance, as archival PDF is a setting, and from PDF-A we have this A2U for Unicode PDF setting. So all these settings are stored on a strategy, and when I go back one level, we have the list of strategies, and only these strategies are available for the clients to use. So this makes sure that any policy in a company regarding PDF is managed centrally and can only be used as such. The fourth is about multi-tenancy. Remember, Carsten mentioned already having an issue of different departments using your rendition server, and at the end of the month you want to invoice, or at least have some overview of the costs of which department created which number of PDFs. So therefore we have the multi-tenancy feature implemented. At this point we can create tenants as we want to, and these tenants then are identified when they access the rendition server through its web service. So this information here is also available in the tables, which contain all our accounting information regarding the use of the rendition server. The fifth tab is the graphical one we saw before. Then we have the, of course, for every other managing node, worker node, this data is will be shown, and behind these graphs we have the operation and maintenance web service, which provides this data as a JSON format. So it's very easy to source this information into Cacti or Nagios or any other common management system. It's built actually to be integrated into other applications. By no means we are forcing any administrator to use this app. If he wants to, can source any data directly through the web service. But we give it as a starting point and as an out-of-the-box solution, which perfectly works what we expect. The other one is the request view. At the moment, we're not seeing anything because there are no pending requests on the system. Again, I'm going to create some stress on the system, and we will see that the view will update as soon as all the requests are queued. We have a queuing system where first the requests are put in a queue and then processed according to priority. All the requests have a common default priority of 0 and are assigned to a data source which was above, and now gone again. So just redo this again. Here we see at the source of the request. So it allows an administrator at any point in time to see where we're currently working at, which documents with which priority are currently being worked at. For example, if someone is wondering, hey, why is my request not returning, then I see, okay, you're in a lesser priority. If you want to have your documents processed faster, you need to adjust your priority, or we need to discuss this with someone who needs to decide on this one. But this request view gives us global information about what the rendition server is currently working at which level. So without going into hundreds or thousands of requests, it just gives the administrator a required view of knowing what is exactly what he's actually working on which level. The last, last tab is about licensing. Okay, what's the important one is here the number of pages still left and the buttons for requesting a license or for deactivating your license. All rendition server installations require one license. this is where they are managed, where you request your license and you can insert your updated or your new license. The last tab we're going to see is about the documentation. The rendition server always contains its own documentation and can show either this documentation through the web app or makes it available even as a stream for downloading, whatever. You can always be sure that the documentation you take here is exactly matching your system installation. There's nothing with outdated documentation. It always contains the most up-to-date administration. And then, I'm finished with this. Back to you, Carsten.
Yeah, thank you, Garrett, giving us an impression on how the web app for managing and setting up and configuring the rendition server looks like if you take LuraTech's own web app for doing that task. We're a little bit over time, so I'm trying to wrap this up with the last chapter actually real quick. Another question also that came up through is what file formats are supported in those conversion tasks, and here's the slide that answers it. So anytime you buy an instance, a license of Rendition Server, you get all the functionality that we were talking about, and that is available in Rendition Server. We don't have extra components that you need to license. We want to have you guys starting it small, let's say. You can select a project, you can do this project on Rendition Server, but you already have all the functionality on board to then take it further after a success in the first project to the next and next and next project without having to buy new functionality and spend more on the licenses for supporting additional formats or getting access to certain APIs. So always an OCR engine is on board in the same scale as the Rendition Server license is. All the formats we support, and here's a little bit of a list, are in the box, and also the access to the APIs, as we mentioned before, the custom station API for attaching your own modules to the workflows, as well as the custom work item handler API to pre-process incoming requests, are available with every installation that you have. Now, regarding how does it scale? How is it structured? What are the measuring points for scaling? This is actually a matrix. The matrix says we do have limited licenses to start, for example, with a smaller project, 3 million pages a year at a page cap. It can be more. Probably your real project is more at 50 million pages a year. I don't know, but there's even an option for getting a license for even without a page counter, unlimited pages. Page counter, quote unquote, is available. That's the one access that you need to make sure to get certain good entry-level pricing for your first project and not overstress the budget of that first project. We have entry-level pricing, and then you can go all the way up to unlimited page count. On the second axis of this matrix here, we show the worker node, WN, worker nodes. There might be projects where you have just this small starting project, 3 million, one worker node is good enough. There's no need for redundancy. Again, PDF compressor users here, be reminded, this is a complete server. It's not a CPU like the PDF compressor scales, but it scales by the server, no matter how many CPUs that server has. So that's already a lot of horsepower. For redundancy purposes, you might want to take 2. For more throughput and higher scaling, you might want to have more. And even there is a way of having an unlimited worker node licenses. So there is a way of having an unlimited worker node license in the end. Pricing goes up from the upper left corner to the lower right corner, obviously. I think that's clear. The only option you can buy is any point you take in here for your project does come with the number of worker nodes set, and it does come with that licenses capped or uncapped in terms of pages, and it does come with one managing node instance. If you want to have redundancy on the managing node as well, or want to have 2 or more whatever more means, 10, 20, 50, I don't know, managing nodes in parallel, there's a single percentage surcharge in order to activate 2 or more managing nodes. That's the only option we have. And we do have a license model of paying the license and having a 20% yearly maintenance coming back for this infrastructure. If you need a subscription model rather than this license maintenance model, or if you need a pay-as-you-go model, just talk to us. We can potentially make it happen, but our standard price list actually is license plus maintenance, all options included, licensing. Okay. Not this time, but in many other situations, a question came up of how can I test it? Is there a demo version available? Yes, it's very easy. I think when you listen to this presentation, you might agree to me that it is very difficult to test out this product by getting a download link from us and then go try your very best and generate meaningful results. I think it needs a little bit of a kickstarting, of a little bit of a guiding, a little bit of a training to be able to set up that system and run that system before you actually can do your own tests with your demo version. That's available. There's a proof of concept package available called Online, providing 4 hours of online training and getting you a test system. And there's a proof of concept package available on site. So you can even get people from us in your house, engineers from us in your house, do a 1-day on-site training, get the test system license so that you can try it on your own. But our engineers will make sure that they leave you and you have a running installation that you at least know your way around in order to be able to generate meaningful results out of your testing and using the demo license. At this point in time, I can only encourage you, ask for an online or an on-site meeting with us. Probably get a specific cater to your needs kind of presentation when we talk about that before. Probably to just really evaluate potential projects on your end and talk through how or if Rendition Server can be of help for you. And in order to do so, here's my contact information. Just give me a call, send me an email if you're interested in talk more about LuraTech's Rendition Server. With that, we're over time. I'm sorry for that. Happens all the time. I seem to be unable to talk shortly. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying the overtime with us. I hope you liked it. I had fun doing this webinar. I hope you got your information you were looking for. If not, again, here's my contact information. I appreciate your time and effort, and I hope we see each other, hear each other in one of our next LuraTech webinars. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day out there.